Welcome to Torah Andalus. This is class 136 on the Golden Doves. As you know, the purpose of this channel is to teach Torah in accordance with the Hachamim, with our Hachamim, old Sepharad, in an intelligent fashion, in a way that I believe most of Am Yisrael would find more appealing and more acceptable than other, let's say, modes of Torah that are aligned with magic and demons and things like that, right? Not everybody finds that mode appealing, and therefore we want to provide the Torah in a way that is of course, authentic, but be also intellectually appealing. So this again, class 136. And by the way, I'm going to say it again. If you can please, if you did not subscribe to this channel, I would appreciate it if you subscribe. Not because it means anything to me. YouTube gets all the money if there are any ads or whatever. But it does help spread the classes to other people. So the more people that subscribe, the more YouTube promotes the classes. And I really want people to know this stuff. I really feel this is an alternative that is an appealing and authentic alternative of Torah. So if you can subscribe, hit the like button, I would greatly appreciate that if you haven't already subscribed. So page 76, I just want to go back. We did this already. There's a bottom of the first paragraph of page 76. The Torah is analogous to two paths. That's an interesting midrash, right, in the Yerushalmi Hagigah. One leading to fire and the other to snow. So the Torah, or the study of Torah, or the journey through the understanding of Torah can lead one to a place where there are two paths, one leading to fire, one path leads to fire, the other path leads to snow. Anyone bearing towards this one will perish by fire. So if you decide to take one of the paths, you end up in the fire. You don't want to end up in the fire, do you? Anyone bearing towards this one will perish, towards the other will perish by snow. You also don't want to perish by snow. Both are painful deaths. Both result in death. Both result in painful deaths, right? So what is he to do, says Yerushalmi? Let him walk in the middle. So that's really strange. What does that mean? Because I just want to think about that. How can the Torah, they say the Torah is analogous to two paths. How can the Torah be analogous to two paths, right? Mashal, to Shnei Derachim, one leading, but it's the Torah. The Torah can't be analogous to something that Chas v'Shalom leads to fire or to snow. That doesn't make any sense. What the Yerushalmi says doesn't seem to make sense. And it says, no, you have to forge a new path in the middle, right? So it shows that you reach a certain level of understanding of Torah, and when you reach a certain level, and then your understanding reaches a point where there's a crisis. You want to go deeper. And in the journey to go deeper, there's a danger. One way leads to fire, the other way leads to snow. And there's no clear, demarked path for you to continue forward. So this is a journey of the Nevi'im, right? Not the Hamon Am. The Hamon Am don't have this journey, because Hamon Am can follow the paths. They get to that point, and maybe they don't reach a point where they're Hayran, where they're perplexed. But the Nevi'im, the wise men of Israel, they reach the point of Hayran, of perplexity. And that's what this is talking about, right? So what do? You have to walk in the middle. So my father, I have his personal copy of the Golden Doves, and he alludes to a pasuk in Mishleh, the pasuk in Mishleh, Perek Kafhet, pasuk Yod Chet. The pasuk says, my following, Holech, my eyesight, right? Holech Tamim Yivasheh, a person who goes Tamim. Tamim is like Ishtam. No, Ishtam means complete in his mitot, right? Olech Tamim, in the sense that, sometimes people, when they become too smart for themselves, they leave the misvot. They think they're smart, so they don't think they need the misvot anymore, which of course is horrible, right? So Olech Tamim means this is a person who's always adhering to the misvot. He never gives up on that, right? Yivasheh, that person will be Nosha, will be, so to speak, saved by God, right? And then there's a person who's trapped in the Derachayim. Derachaim is not the plural of derach of roads, because derech is derachim, right? Derach, right? Deracheha, well, no, or derachim, well, right? Derachaim, my father follows the Meiri. He points out to the Meiri here, unlike Ibn Ezra, who says derachaim, derachim. Derachim would be plural. Derachaim is always binary, like na'alayim, raglayim, oznaim, always two. So what does it talk about? Bnei Akash Derachaim? It's talking about, this is an allusion, or rather the Yerushalmi is an allusion to this pasuk. Bnei Akash Derachaim yipol be'echad, a person who's trapped by these two paths, in the sense that he wants to take one or the other, and it's a trap, right? He's going to end up getting destroyed by one of them. Either he chooses fire or snow. The only way out is to adhere fully to the ma'asim that the Torah requires us to do, right? And if you adhere, then God will help you forge that third path, which is your individual path to Nevuah, to Ruach HaKodesh, right? That's an important thing. I'm just going to continue reading that the crisis facing the Ha'iran is a crisis of choice, of pure choice. Pure choice in the sense that this is post-language. The knowledge that we're dealing with here is not conventional language. Language is always conventional. All words are conventional. We all speak the same words. Members of a speaking community, English or Arabic or whatever the speaking community is, it's conventional. But here this person reaches a point where it's the ideas that he's grappling with are not conventional, right? And therefore, the crisis is a crisis of pure choice. So there are no words that are going to save you, right? There's no mathematical formula that's going to save you in this case. So that's the pure choice, since this level excludes signs by which the riddles can be resolved. So you're going to be stuck with this riddle. How can you resolve the riddle? So normally, okay, I'll resolve the riddle, why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? Okay, LOL, right? Because those are words, and we're all familiar with words, right? There's something deep about that. But then there are actual riddles, actual perplexities, actual things that people think about. I don't want to get into it because it's a public, it's a public class. It's a YouTube class. I'm not going to get into the types of things that the Hachamim are perplexed by, right? But and no conventional word is gonna, no quip is gonna answer the problem, right? The dalala, a mere gesture pointing out a direction, can never express imminent meaning, right? So what we can have then is we can have signposts, but these signposts are outside of themselves. They're pointing to something outside of themselves, right? So maybe words can be signposts, combined together words can point to something, but the meaning is not imminent in those words, right? It's just telling you go in this direction. Even what does it mean you'll be consumed by fire? What does it mean you'll be consumed by snow? So there's a certain feeling of fire, like heat, and it's too much around me. And then snow is emptiness and cold and, right? Too little, right? So it's just words, but these words are pointing to something outside of themselves. So even the mashal itself contains dalala to point out the things that regular language can't quite catch. Dalala is the ground both for direction and for bifurcation. Now, every time there's a dalala, you don't really know what to do with it. What do I do with this? What do I do with the signpost? The signpost itself is saying, kind of go in that direction, but it's not so self-evident exactly the direction. How do you read the signpost? That's the problem, right? What do you mean when you say go there? What does there mean exactly, right? So it gives you the direction, but then you're going to go, and then there's going to be a bifurcation, and you're going to say, wait, and now what? It's going to be, again, a derachaim. There's always going to be a bifurcation. Ha'ira. Pointing out gives direction and branches the path into two. Direction and bifurcation are simultaneous. That's pretty deep stuff. So anytime you take a road, there's always a bifurcation. There's always going to be a choice. What do I do with this sign? What is it really telling me to do? Because there is no conventional word that I can understand fully, like you can understand, like the speaker can understand, where we all are on the same page. We're precisely dealing with non-conventional ideas, so by their nature, there needs to be a bifurcation. Thus, ha'ira is to dalala, right? What meaning is to the sign, right? So let's think about that. Ha'ira means a state of perplexity. Dalala is how you get out of the state of perplexity, right? The sign. And that's what meaning is to the sign. So ha'ira results also. Remember we just said that the ha'ira results from the dalala. The dalala takes you in a direction, but it leads to a bifurcation. Similarly, so ha'ira is to dalala. What meaning is to the sign? Let's think about that. What is meaning to the sign? Well, I have the meaning, and then I transpose the meaning or transform it into a sign. Right? And that sign expresses the meaning, perhaps to somebody else. Right? So you start out with the meaning, and then you go to a sign. So you have the ha'ira, which is the perplexity. And that perplexity leads to a dalala. So meaning leads to a sign. Perplexity leads to a dalala. Or rather, is it the dalala that leads to the perplexity and the sign that leads to meaning? You see that there's a bifurcation here? Did you just catch that? I'm not sure if you saw what I just did. Right? Which is it? Right? So again, ha'ira is to dalala. Let's say dalala can lead you to ha'ira, and the sign can lead you to meaning. Right? That's certainly plausible. The signifier, signify to the signified. Right? So you have, right, the sign leads to meaning, the signifier leads to the signified. So let's do that. The signifier, the word cat, leads to cat. The sign that I'm trying, leads to the meaning that I'm trying to express. The dalala leads to ha'ira. Do you see why? Okay, signifier, signified. Signifier leads to signified. Okay, that makes sense, of course, right? The sign cat points out to the cat. Okay. Or to the idea of cat, whatever that is. Okay. Then you have the sign, and that points out to the meaning. Okay, so till now good? And then you have dalala pointing up to ha'ira. What's the difference? Conventional versus non-conventional. Right? The dalala points out to the ha'ira. It's kind of parallel to the signifier pointing out to the signified, or the sign pointing out to meaning. But it's not the same. It's not the same because in the case of ha'ira dalala, you're dealing with non-conventional ideas, and therefore, by its nature, you're going to need to reach that fork in the roads. There's one of Jorge Luis Borges' stories is the garden of forking roads, because language, human speech, like as I said, it deals with the conventional, but doesn't really. Words, meanings, always shifting, always changing. Ideas always changing. So I'm telling you a word, I'm telling you something, and are we really speaking the same thing? Or is there always going to be a forking road somewhere? Right? Alright, the crisis of ha'ira is resolved by an act of choice. You have to make a choice. There's no other way. This leads to another dalala. Okay, so now because you're hayra, you go to a dalala. Alright? Branching into two, but that dalala branches to two, and now you're hayra again. And then there'll be another dalala, which will say go this way. But then you go that way, and that way there will be another four. The Garden of Forking Roads, and so on. An endless labyrinth. So again, Jorge Luis Borges has many stories, I believe, on the labyrinth. Oh, Borges. Okay. Sorry about that. In the words of Borges, hope not that the straightness of your path that stubbornly branches off in two, and stubbornly branches off in two, will have an end. Hope that it doesn't have an end. And let's see where that story is. Footnote 79, Jorge Luis Borges in Praise of Darkness. This is the central theme of his collection of stories, Labyrinths. Right? It was later developed in his later poems, and as I said, he has a garden of forking paths in his collection called Ficciones. Okay, I needed to redo this class, as you can tell.